Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another Judith Unhinged. This week, we're talking about the Dutch news of the day, A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, The Lincoln Lawyer, Paradise, Bridgerton, and of course, the Dutch Olympics. We'll close with a fun new exotic animal handler. But I'll just talk you through my week that I've had. And I won't give you any facts or any advice. I will just talk you through my opinions and commentary on a lot of things that happened this week. So let's start with the Dutch news of the week. While the world burns, in the Netherlands, police evacuate a mall after what only can be described as an infrastructural fart. I just find it so funny what happens in the Netherlands. I'm sure there's like silly little things that happen in the rest of the world, but sometimes I think it's only in the Netherlands where we make a lot of ruckus about really nothing that ever happens. But let me explain the situation to you, okay? So there was a mall, I think it was in Den Haag. It's called the Passage. So it's more of a, we don't really have, we sometimes have covered malls like they do in other countries. But really the Netherlands is so small and all the land is so expensive. You can't really like build a gigantic mall somewhere in the Netherlands. They do try, you know, we do have IKEAs and stuff like that, but I love a mall, by the way. Whenever we go anywhere, I look up, like, do they have a covered mall? Do they have a covered, like, market? Especially, like, those markets for local artists. I love those. Getting off topic. So, in Den Haag, what happened was there were a couple of people in this mall that wasn't really a mall. And they said, there's a weird smell. And then they called the police, the fire department, all the emergency services went out, ambulances, doctors everywhere, and they evacuated the mall. Then they grouped people together and they were testing them medically to see if everything was safe. I don't know what the fire department does in these cases. Maybe they thought it was a gas leak, but it didn't seem that way from the news article. And it was just so funny that they immediately, there's a weird smell, and some people complained. Let's go full on force on this mall. I mean, did they have nothing else to do? Like maybe send one person there and let them smell it and then decide on what to do. Why did they make such a big deal about this? Because what was going on is there was sewer maintenance and that smells, and they were smelling that, and that's all there was. There was just a sewer smell in that mall because of the maintenance that was going on. And that's it. Isn't that crazy that they did all of that? Imagine the huge amount of manpower it took, the cost of having all these people go there and spend the day there to solve this mystery of the weird smell. Oh no, danger, danger. I just think it's so incredibly funny that we spend an entire day evacuating a mall and putting all our services and resources into that, and there was just nothing going on. It's so typical. It's just lovely. Isn't it lovely that there's a country in this world where that can happen and that is the focus of the day? I think that's fantastic. I think more countries should have days like that where it's just, it turns out to be nothing. And there's nothing going on. Nothing happened. Nobody got harmed. Everything was nice. except for the smell. Speaking of smells, and speaking of especially farts, let's talk about A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. If you watch the show, it's a mini series, but I think it's getting multiple seasons now, and it was a giant hit. It was amazing. It was such a good show. It really, really, really was. But I did an entire series on it, and my main beef with the show is that it has a lot of fart humor in it. So at the start of the show, I finally get to do this. You get the da 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 da, and I get all excited about Game of Thrones. And what happens then? You see Duncan's bare butt. Well, not even farting, he's pooping behind a tree. So it cuts off our epic theme song, and there's poop everywhere. And that was funny. They got me good, that's funny. But then Duncan, before the trial of seven, he does this epic speech, like saying, hey, I want, I really can't remember. I have such a terrible memory. But some kind of heroic speech about all sorts of things. About nobility, maybe his standing as a hedge knight or something like that, or morals, whatever, and that he's innocent or something. And then someone stands up in the crowd, and guess what? They fart. And it sort of takes away from the emotional moment Duncan was having. And then in every single, those were the two big fart jokes moment in the show, but in every episode, watch it back, you see horses pooping, and it's not in the background, it's close up on the shots, and it's meant to be funny. Haha, it's Middle Ages, it's disgusting, everyone smells, haha, so funny. No, it's not funny to show poop in every episode, or to show how nervous Duncan is getting, and then that he, poops again behind a tree, and you do it in every single episode. So the 5 episodes have so many of those fart, poop, toilet humor moments. Maybe Duncan has IBS. I don't know. But it's not funny if you repeat it all the time. The first one was funny. Yes, you've distinguished yourself, but the last ones aren't funny. And I made a video about it, and guess what? The internet is mad. Apart from the fat bikes from last week, which also made people mad. Pro banning fat bikes and not banning fat bikes. Apparently, if you say you don't like something on a show that you love, that's not allowed. It's not allowed to not like so many fart jokes on a show. By the way, I love that show. The 6th episode, I could not detect any fart jokes because it was a super emotional episode. They really made different choices compared to the Game of Thrones show, and I really appreciated that. And it was really, really nice. And it was a beautiful episode. So I was like, why don't you do that every episode? You can skip the fart jokes. So for next season, take the note. Not that many fart jokes. Just make it 1 fart joke a season, and that's it. You don't have to do it every episode. It's just not necessary. People were questioning, no, there weren't fart jokes in there. And then I reminded them of all the moments that were in there. And they were like, oh, yeah, I guess I interpreted it differently. And even some people said, well, at least it's nice to see, to hear a female talk about Game of Thrones. I was like, what? Why aren't females talking about Game of Thrones? Why aren't women talking about Game of Thrones? It's really interesting. Game of Thrones is really funny. I get the same sort of reaction whenever I root for the villain, like in Fallout. I'm sorry, I'm always gonna root for the villain. Like, not if it's like an obvious villain. I don't like those. I don't like a dumb villain. I like someone who's like refined, who's like the evil genius type who's like trying to do good but can't help themselves doing bad. I like that. It's the Tony Soprano complex. It's the Dexter complex. You're rooting for a villain. And you know, if they make the show about the goody two shoes, I will find a villain and I will root for them. I will try my bestest to make the villain the hero and make them win. Because it's just funny. And why is this an opinion I cannot have? I'm not allowed to root for a villain. Really? I think that's really, really interesting. So let's get into something evil that I have opinions about, which is a very tricky discussion. But first, let's take a break. And we're back. Welcome back. So we're discussing AI, the big evil these days, right? Why is AI evil? Tell me, why is it evil? Why is everybody so upset about AI? I really, really do not understand why people think that a technology is inherently evil. It's not the technology that is evil. It's the people behind the technology that is doing the evilness. I do have a slight technical background. I do understand how AI works. You don't have to explain AI to me. What you need to understand is that I really don't think there's anything wrong with a video of a monkey stealing an umbrella, and then it opens and the monkey gets blown away and flies away in the distance, and I get to have a laugh. I get to find that funny, that video funny. I find it funny, and it's an AI video. And to be fair, somebody did have to point out to me that was AI, which made me then aware of the AI videos. Why, if entertainment is generated by someone entering a prompt in AI and then generating a funny video, why is that bad? If I'm laughing, I'm happy. If I'm laughing and it's not a real video, it's nice. Do I want them to label them as AI videos? Yeah, sure. That would be nice. Will I still watch them if they're labeled AI videos? Yes, I will watch them. A cute dog, a real cute dog, is just as funny to me as an AI cute dog. Just as an animated dog is funny to me. You know, a hand-drawn dog can be funny to me. So why would there be a problem with all these entertainment videos? And that sort of brings the question of, but these videos are fake. Oh no, we're in a conundrum because it's all fake and we can't have anything that's fake. Guess what? There is no objectivity. There is no objectivity. Let's go crazy with the hand signs. There is no objectivity, and people that are really technical and that are into like the hard sciences really get mad at me for this. But if you study anything like philosophy, you get into this discussion, right? What is objectivity? If you look at human beings, we all see the world very differently. We've already, like, different people see different colors. The way I view the world is not the way you view the world. So if already our sight is different, then we're already filtering the world around us very differently from each other. We're seeing different things. If two people are witness to something happening, they will give different accounts of what happened. That way, for instance, the news, which I have a big issue with, has never been objective. Sure, there's fake news, like people actually saying things that didn't happen, but also the news that did happen and the way people report on that is is not objective. It always goes through a filter of someone, even if they're trying to be objective, which is a great moral standing to have. And you should try, if you're an actual journalist, you should try to aim for that. But there's no objectivity there. What I love to do then, for instance, when I started, when I was a teenager, really hating the news and how they reported on wars and political issues, and how they just made it, really it's entertainment, right? It's that when people drive by car accidents and a traffic jam starts happening, because everyone wants to see the bad things happening, which to me is morally wrong. There's a tragedy that happened, you shouldn't look at it. You really shouldn't look at it. That doesn't mean you shouldn't be aware that it happened. You shouldn't look at people suffering while you're eating your dinner, while you're entertaining yourself. What is that? Is so very morally wrong to me. So I pivoted sort of from news to columnists, opinionated pieces, even like the gossip section of the news, which is always not objective. It's always subjective. So I loved things that were outright subjective, because that could give me different perspectives on things that might broaden my viewpoint on things. So I don't mind if things that I see are fake, because I will make up my own mind about that. And what is a problem with this is, for instance, when people start making videos generated by AI. Do you recognize how I framed that? People make videos generated by AI. For instance, they take my image and I don't know, they put me in like a Comic-Con in a beautiful pink dress where I hand out cute free Ghibli and Disney stickers to people at a Comic-Con, which never happens. You couldn't get a video of me doing that. But that kind of thing, that kind of fake video could be harmful, of course. Guess what? It's the people doing it. Again, it's the people. There's no objectivity, there's only subjectivity. And it was always already happening. Those sort of fake videos were always being made of very poorly. Now they can make them photorealistic, but before they were also making people do things that they really weren't doing, and they're still doing that at the moment, and I see that cycle happening again and again and again. I will tell you a story. Like when I was a teenager, there was this video game, and I love bringing this up because it was so controversial. It was called Carmageddon. And for those that don't know of this game, it was a racing game. And so you were a driver in a car and you had to race and win the race. But you could win the race in 3 different ways. The traditional way, you ran the course and you finished first. Great job. Applause for you. You took the boring way out. The second way to win was to destroy all the other vehicles. So if you destroyed every single contestant's vehicle, you would win. The third way was to kill all the people that were watching the race. Fictionally, right? Fiction. We're talking video games here. which was, of course, that third way was my preferred way of playing the game. And it took so long. Those maps were quite big. There was even like a American football stadium with like people standing in line running. And then you could, like, if you aimed it correctly, you could drive over the entire line of little pixelated football guys going like, and then they splattered. It was such, a lot of video games is about like tactile response, that you make a small movement and you have a big response. And in Carmageddon you had this splash, so you had the sound feedback of the, and then you saw them like little explode as well, which is so cute. There was this car. Do you get how excited I am about this? And you hate it when I root for the villain. Okay. Or when I hate farts and I do these things. But there was this car, and you could like buy upgrades for your car. And there was an upgrade that made this one car electric. I think it was like a pun on Carmen Electra or whatever her name was. And it just electrocuted. It sent out electric shocks around the car, and it electrocuted like everyone near the car. It was so good. It was so good. My point being, I got distracted and happy for a second. Sorry. My point being with Carmageddon is that everyone was upset about it. Well, my parents, they weren't. Thank you, parents. Mom, if you're listening, thank you. A lot of kids couldn't play this game. They were genuine, in the Netherlands, I'm talking, right? I was raised in the Netherlands. So they weren't allowed to play Carmageddon because this would rot people's brains. It would turn them into horrible drivers that would try to hit people for points. It is so insane to me that people would make that assumption that a technology that is used for entertainment is then translated into real life actions. It does not compute, and it has not computed. We see that happening now as well. If you look at TikTok and Roblox, they say this ruins people's brains, but it's just a new Carmageddon. It's a cycle repeating itself again. Of course, you should have those conversations with your kids, or the kids should understand how to socially interact, or what is right, what is wrong, but it's just a technology. It's just a form of entertainment, and it will have the same influence on them as Carmageddon had on me. And it won't rot their brain, although they do call me Verstappen when I when I drive around in my car. No, but my point being that people are evil. Technology is not evil. It's the people that are doing the evil things with technology. And they will always grab new technology to do their evil bidding with. They will always do this. If you really think the few billionaires that currently manipulate the world into doing their bidding is a new thing, then you need a history lesson. Look at history and how the cycles continue to repeat itself. And then you'll see this is just a repetition of what was already being done. The evil ones just found new tools to do it with and new ways to do it. But it's the same as it's always been, and we will respond and develop in the same way as we've always developed. And it's fine. Things will be fine eventually. The world is still burning, and we do need to take some action. but it will be fine. I guarantee you it will be fine. I am a decent driver, somewhat. I do not play Carmageddon while I drive. Okay, let's take a break and I'll be back. And we're back. So let's discuss the last few topics that we have for this week. One is, of course, the Olympics happened. And if you weren't aware of the Netherlands, you are now if you watched the Olympics, which I honestly didn't. But it is very, very interesting to see the Netherlands in the third position in a worldwide Olympic competition. You know how much the Dutch population makes up in the face of the entire world. It's 0.22% of people live in the Netherlands. 0.22%, and we rank third. That is insane. That is completely insane. That shouldn't be statistically possible. I know we have a long history of this with the skating, the ice skating and stuff. I can ice skate. It's fun. It's nice. Although I did it recently and it was terrible. But you get older and it becomes terrible. What I did see of the Olympics is their response to the Dutch fans. And just everyone going like, the Dutch people were really insane. Those Dutch fans, they really made a ruckus. And it was just very overwhelming. And I was like, okay, you haven't noticed how loud, obnoxious, and idiotic we Dutch people are. We're crazy people. You can always tell the Dutch persons from a group because they're the loudest and the most obnoxious. It was just so funny. If you didn't expect us to take over, watch a football match and you'll see the entire arena being orange and them playing lots of music, doing lots of dances and chantings, and it's just, the Dutch fans are something else because our people here in the Netherlands are definitely something else. We live in a country where nothing ever happens, so this is what we do, apparently. It is so funny. This week, apart from the Olympics, also a lot of television shows I watched wrapped up, like Bridgerton. And Bridgerton is so interesting, right? It really featured a forbidden love this season with Benedict and Sophie. And he's a nobleman and she's a maid. Oh no, it can't happen, right? And it draws a lot of parallels with society, right? With classism, racism, and all the other ways in which we can differentiate groups to make sure that they do not mix with each other. And it definitely says a lot about the people in power and how they manipulate their subjects. In this show, literally, how Queen Charlotte handles everyone in the town in Bridgerton. It's really funny to see, and also saddening, right, that history keeps repeating itself like that. Speaking of sadness, it's not that sad. Paradise. It's currently in its second season. It's a post-apocalyptic show. The world was destroyed. I'm not sure why yet because I just started the show. But it was destroyed and now everyone is living in a cave. They built sort of a city, Truman Show style, where you have, those heaters that they use for chicks, like little chickens when they hatch. They just put one of those at the center of the cave, and they're heating all the people. It's so funny. They're like talking about, oh, I miss the sun. And I'm like, how can you survive in a cave? I have no clue. Don't we need sun, or else, we don't survive? I'm not sure. Anyway, this show features the guy from This Is Us. He was an, I think, Armchair Expert this week, and it was really funny. And I was like, oh, I have to watch this. And I started. It's just such an exciting show. I love the shows that kind of so much is happening, so much intrigues, conspiracies, twists and turns that I can't predict what will happen next. I like that because it's already happened. It goes too fast. It's too exciting. And it just take me on the journey, keep me on the edge of my seat. And this is a show like that. If you're looking for something exciting, then watch that. But on top of the excitement, it also has another thing I love, and that is character depth. So it really delves into the backstories of people. And there's one guy who's currently pitted as an evil guy, and he was raised, or he was like, they do a background story on him, and there's this story of him hunting with his uncle, and then his uncle tries to make him shoot the dog, and instead of shooting the dog, he shoots the uncle, because the uncle keeps saying, don't shoot, don't hesitate, immediately act. And he's like, okay, I'll shoot you. And then goes into prison, and then comes out into a sort of elite force. We'll hear more about it, I'm sure, when I get further along in the show. But those kinds of backstories are interesting. I love it when they really delve into a character. I think this is of the same makers as This Is Us. So it's a set story with a beginning and an end. I love those people. We don't need another Lost. We don't need another Once Upon a Time. I want people with direction, who have a vision, who have a beginning, a middle, and an end, and who end it, and who don't carry their shows on because they are going to make a lot of money. It's great if they can make money. Listen, this is not going to be your last idea or the last show you get off the ground. You're going to make different shows, and it's going to generate more money. You can even do like make a new concept in the same universe. People love it when you build universes. Do that. Just don't drag things on for so long that the soap effect starts to happen, and it just becomes so boring and predictable. Don't do that. Have an end in mind. Work towards that end, and just keep it at that. And then a good thing ends, but that's okay. It will create space for other things. Don't be afraid to end things fictionally. I also wrapped up The Lincoln Lawyer, another show that I love for very different reasons, because this is way more predictable, but it's a comfort show that has such lovable characters. And I talked about this before. I do have to say, with me being very opinionated, I criticize things I love. Imagine the life my children lead. I'm sorry, kids. They're not listening. Nobody's listening that I love because I'm too critical. No. So I will criticize The Lincoln Lawyer. For instance, if you look at the Cisco and the Lorna character, especially in the early seasons of The Lincoln Lawyer, I think it gets better over time because maybe they get to know each other better. I don't know. But they're supposed to be this engaged couple at the beginning, now married. There's no chemistry between these people. And that happens sometimes. Sometimes with the casting, they don't have time for a chemistry read or whatever, or the casting is done differently. But either way, there was one scene specifically they were pulling an all-nighter, and she was sleeping on the couch, and she was resting herself on him. And I guess it's because of the camera angle, but she had to lie there really awkwardly. And it was clear that she didn't want to be that physically close in that moment, which is fine, you know. You have your preferences. But it's just interesting. Like with Bones, where you have Angel and the sister of the new girl, they really didn't like each other. You can also have this good chemistry together because you don't like each other right away. Because in Bones, the whole thing was that they annoy each other, and that was very clear that they annoyed each other very well. It was so funny when she suddenly was pregnant. And it was like, okay, what happened? And they had to think of something. That was very interesting. Anyways, let's end the show with a smile, and I hope this made you giggle again a little bit. So I'm really into animal handlers, like Bruce the snake wrangler is really funny. And now I've got something new for you that will make you laugh and giggle and make you happy. It's, let me get the name right, Chewy El Galan, the sloth handler. It is so funny. There's just this guy, I think he speaks Spanish or something, and he's just walking around and he says, oh, they had a sloth here. And you see a sloth sitting somewhere minding their own business on a wall or up a post, a telephone post or something. And then suddenly, and he just goes like, let's rescue them, and then grabs them. And they're like, oh no, what's happening? But very slow because they're sloths. And then he just walks away and he says, yes, another one rescued. All these rescue videos are really elaborate and it's very difficult and stuff. And he's just go, boop, boop, rescued. Yay. I'm sure there's more to it and it's very complicated. And seeing the claws of the sloths, I wouldn't want to be the one doing it. But it looks very funny to me that these sloths are just like, oh no, what happened? And then he just whoop, whoop, whoop. So look that up, Chewy, the sloth handler. It's very cute, very funny. I bet Kristen Bell would love to be a sloth handler for a day. Maybe she can do a training. Anyways, that's it for this episode of Unhinged. I hope you enjoyed yourself. You had a little giggle and loved my opinions. I will see you in the next one. Bye.